what do you feel like is important to say to women struggling with that?
Yeah. Well, I just appreciate that we've gone here because sometimes I forget what led me here, and it makes me emotional too because I did not know if I would ever be able to feel normal again. I did not know if I would ever be able to trust myself with food. I spent when it got the worst, I was making myself throw up for a few months, and I remember being like, I will die if I keep doing this, and I cannot keep doing this to myself. But it didn't mean that, that was enough. I had to really dive in. And so if you are experiencing something like this, struggling with food, your body, your habits, there is a way to get better, and it doesn't have to take as long as it took me. Yes, I did work previous to the somatic work that really helped me be ready to receive it in the way that I did, but I'm curious what would have happened if I found it, years before that. So, bringing in all aspects of healing where you address all parts of you, mind, body, and soul, is imperative to break through habits like this.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Going Out Looking In, the podcast where we're exploring the human experience through conscious conversations. My name is Maxi, I'm your host. Today, I'll bring you a conversation with ThaiHa Sloan. I discovered ThaiHa on social media via numerous IG reels in which she talks about relationships, communication in relationships, triggers, trauma, emotions, and how to self-regulate ourselves so we can show up better for our partners. And while that is all very valuable and clearly resonates with so many people, I think nearly 250,000 by now, her being emanates so much more than just this information, and I intuitively picked up on that and resonated with it, and I was curious to explore what is beneath and underneath and behind that wisdom. And so this conversation is a testament to that intuition, to that feeling of who is this person? Who is ThaiHa? And I am really happy to share that this conversation did just that. It unraveled a little bit of the mystery that surrounds ThaiHa and her background and her personal story. And as you know, that has been or is a new endeavor of mine to create a space where it is about these personal stories and the wisdom that we can extract from exploring the story of an individual, because I believe that that's where the true gold is hidden. That's where the essence is. It's not talking about something, it's talking from something, from an experience. And so with this one, we delve into the world of self-love and embodiment from a perspective of ThaiHa and her experience with an eating disorder, with her body dysmorphia, with her being a professional wrestler, and how that influenced her ability to come back to the body, to intuitive wisdom, to channel that, to use that, to then work through her triggers and implement it in her work with working with couples and relationships. So all of that is a co-creation, and I'm so happy to do what I'm doing here. So without further ado, I bring you this episode with much love from my heart to yours. Can't wait to hear what you say, feel, think about it. Please let me know. And this episode with ThaiHa Sloan. So I'm honored to be here with you, and if it's okay, I always start with a short little prayer just to set up the space and to get us synced up. So if you're up for that, just gonna take a couple of seconds, yeah? Great, all right. So yeah, I'm pretty grounded with my feet on Mother Earth, so just arriving in a space and feel into what is present right now. A million places we can be or could be right now, but the soul chose to be here right now, so I'm in deep reverence of that. So to your beautiful creation on this day, please facilitate a loving connection between ThaiHa and myself. Guide our tongues so we can speak what needs to be said, so we can hear what needs to be heard. May we share with an open heart, good intentions, honesty, integrity, respect, and love. An open heart in a world so full also of hate and separation, but not in this space. The ancestors are here, all the people that come before us and will come after us. So may we enjoy this moment right here, right now. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. And with that, may we move well in this conversation. And maybe take a deep breath. And in, Anali. Beautiful. Thank you.
That was great.
Yeah, thank you for doing this with me, and yeah, thanks for being you. I mean, wow, I'm deeply interested in you, more than I am actually in what it is you're doing. I'm more like interested in like who is doing it, like who are you, and how did you become the person you are, and how did you gain that knowledge and that wisdom and all of that. So I'm genuinely honest, like sincerely curious about you and your journey. I feel it's much needed in the world that we're living in today, and so I'm very excited and I'm very open. So that's where I'm at. So I would just like ask you, like, what's alive within you? What's going on? How are you feeling?
Well, I will say the past couple of days have been a little more challenging in my state, as the human will experience, right? These ups and downs, but gratefully I have a lot of tools that have helped me hold myself with compassion, even when I'm not feeling my best, and just know that it's not going to last forever. Last week I was feeling great. If I'm feeling a little funky for 2 days, that's okay. That's not going to last forever either. So, I'm just happy to be here and ready to share whatever wants to come through.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, what do you feel like, maybe that's a good starting point, what do you feel like is some of the context that I need, that maybe the audience will need, to just get a sense of who ThaiHa is and what it is you have been doing, you know, and some of the major things that contributed to, yeah, the manifested version of who you are today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like, honestly, I've been on a journey of releasing who I am, in a sense, or who I've always thought I am, right? We grow up believing that we are this personality, these traits, these characteristics, and I do believe that some of those are my soul's essence, but I also believe that a lot of what we think we are isn't really us. So, learning how to unlearn and release those ways of being, and more so rest into a place of just awareness of reality. At least for me, I've had a very strong thinker most of my life. Many of us do, right? Really loud thoughts, running thoughts, overthinking happening. And I've really been on a journey of learning how to not only quiet my mind, but do so in a way that's like releasing and resting back into my truth, which is just presence, just beingness. And I don't talk about this a lot on my Instagram, but that's been my personal journey over the last several years.
Mm. What has helped you in tuning into that and getting those insights?
Well, it's felt like I haven't had a choice, in a sense. I've had a choice, but at the same time, the universe brought me many experiences that have pushed me into that releasing and unlearning and unbecoming. So, few of those instances were in 2019. Well, I can start with when I first released my identity as a mechanical engineer and started on my journey of doing what my soul actually wanted to do. So that was one conditioned piece of me that I took on, that I released. Another one was in 2019. Within a matter of a month, I got broken up with. I got fired from my dream job, or what I thought was my dream job at the time, and my house was flooded completely, and there were workers in here for like a whole month. I was camping in my own house. So that was just a lot of stuff that I had to work through, and I was able to choose that was happening for me after some fighting it. I realized like this will be a lot easier if I just choose that this is supporting me get closer to where I want to go rather than further away. And so that was a huge lesson. And then 2 more breakups happened the next subsequent summers after that. So that was just like a lot of having to face myself and face my pain, all my triggers, and do so in a new way with the tools that I had been gaining. So in terms of life experience, that felt like the universe or my soul guiding me into this. Those are the big few ones that have happened over the last few years.
Can you speak a little bit about the turning point between ending the mechanical engineering journey and going into whatever name we want to give that new phase that you're in, maybe also right now? I watched a couple of YouTube videos where you share a little bit more in depth about the journey you've been on. So I'm particularly interested in that, in those, like, take us back to that moment. Like, what led you to the decision to quit that old part of your life and move into the new space? Where did you cultivate that trust from to be able to say, yeah, I can do it. I can release yet this part of myself. I imagine that being not easy. So I'm interested.
Well, if you're talking about the YouTube videos that I think you're talking about, those videos are amazing. I always forget that those are still up, but they're such a snapshot into like 4 years ago, ThaiHa, and all the growth I've experienced from then. So I love that you saw those. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I have an idea of why I was able to make this shift, at such a young age. I was 3 weeks into engineering when I was like, oh no, what have I done? And then a year later, it was like, no, this is not worth it. I can't do this anymore. And a lot of people don't know this, but I was a competitive wrestler in high school. And I went to nationals. I got second at nationals. I won states. I was very serious, very disciplined. Like, it was my entire life at that time. And I always wondered, I was like, why did I do that sport? Like, what a weird thing to have done. But I grew up in Hawaii too, and Hawaii girls are kind of known as scrappy. So there's that. But I really think it was a prereq that my soul chose to go through in this life to do what I'm doing now. Because without the discipline and the lessons that I learned from wrestling, I would not be able to do what I'm doing. I use those lessons every single day. One of them being, I know how to work hard and lean into pain now for the delayed gratification, right? I spent hours and hours and hours practicing all year long for a few 6-minute matches. So the effort that I put in, the way that I went above and beyond other people, right? Staying after practice, doing extra so I could have the inner trust in myself that I worked harder than everybody else. That's something that I learned at a young age, which many people don't have the opportunity to, right? Really understand delayed gratification. So that was one thing that really helped me realize that, okay, sure, I could stay at engineering for 3 extra years and get a little bit more money through my retirement thing. Or I could not suffer for 3 more years, start working on what I actually want to be doing, and reap the benefits sooner. And yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, I'm going to have no idea what the heck I'm doing starting over. But at least I'm doing it with something that lights me up more than this cubicle. So that's one of the biggest reasons I was able to lean into it, and just to know, like, having that background of working hard and then winning states, doing really well at nationals, I was like, whoa, if I work hard in a way that feels good and is aligned for me, I can do what needs to be done to get to where I want to go. It's totally possible. If other people can do it, I can do it. And that really carried me through what we might call this healing chapter and service chapter, because I got into corrective exercise first, like physical healing and mental mindset healing. And then I just let that guide me to where I am now, years later.
Thank you for sharing that. That's very interesting. It is. There's so much more to all of us than we can see at first glance. So I appreciate you sharing that. Somatic healing mentor, breathwork facilitator, relationship coach. Those are 3 things that I stumbled across, things that you associate with who you are today. So I want to speak on the somatic healing part. Is there a connection now that we've spoken about wrestling? Is there a connection to the embodiment part of your work and the somatic part?
So, just to clarify what that is, somatic healing is the practice of feeling through and releasing trapped energy from your body, which is done through the felt sense, not through your thoughts. And I think every chapter of my journey has been related. It's very weird to reflect on. But, spending so much time in my body, gaining so much body awareness and connection to certain parts of my body through these very primal movements that wrestling has. Where I got started in that. I was very active when I was young, surfing, doing all that kind of stuff. So being generally embodied was natural to me. And then going through chronic pain and learning about corrective exercise and then working to heal myself through movement and mindset, that brought another level. Because sure, we can be in our bodies, but how intimate are we with these different parts of our bodies that maybe we've never actually felt before, right? Certain muscles and pieces here and there. So that got me started. And then when I did my somatic healing course in 2020, it was a 10-month course, I started to learn about, okay, there's not just physical embodiment, but there's connection to emotional, or what we could call subtle energy too. Like you can actually feel your emotions in your body. They're not just in your mind. Most people are like, oh, I'm sad and it's because of this and da 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 da, but they're just talking about it. And that's not where sadness actually lives. Sadness lives maybe in your heart or your belly or your throat. It's a felt experience in your body. So through these physical connections that I had, I was able to take it deeper into what we call subtle energy. It's like very subtle, but you can feel maybe the tingles in your hands, or you can feel what it's like when your heart is open and you're more full of joy versus when you're closed off. Those are all subtle embodied experiences that I learned to connect to more and more on my journey.
So, having spoken to a couple of people working within the somatic field, doing somatic experiencing as well, somatic therapy, I know that trauma is directly related to this work. And when going in that way that you just described, meaning feeling what is there and meeting that feeling there and basically releasing it on a bodily level. So I'm rephrasing, correct me if I get anything wrong, but like releasing it on a level that is deeper than just the cognitive understanding of where something is coming from or what it's related to. Trauma is related to it. So from your experience, what would you say? What kind of role does trauma play with experiencing those feelings in the body, and what do we need to be aware of when speaking about something like that? Or me, I don't know, now hearing you and I'm like, okay, I understand what she's saying. Now let's go try it out. Like, is that a good idea? Do I need to be aware of something? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. So something that we want to make sure people know about practices like this, whether it's breath work, somatic experiencing, is we can't force our bodies. We can sometimes, we can override. Let's say in breath work, you're breathing too fast. You can bring out a lot really quickly. And in certain moments, we don't want to do that. More often than not, we don't want to push past to just get in there and heal all the stuff, right? We want to move slowly, because just like you wouldn't go to the gym and right away try to pick up a 100-pound dumbbell, you would start with the 10s and then the 12s and keep leaning in to grow your capacity, but not completely overdo it too quick, because that can actually have negative effects on you. So we don't want to do that. One thing that I can say about trauma is, in my opinion, we all have trauma. Trauma can just be defined as any distressing or disturbing or challenging emotional experience or physical experience that left a lasting effect on your nervous system. Most humans, if not all humans, have this in some way, shape, or form. We have like shock trauma, which is car accident, things like that. Or, somebody breaking into your house and hurting you, something like that. Or something called developmental trauma, which many of us, especially at least the people in my world, where we really talk about attachment styles and anxious, avoidant, all that stuff, it's because of developmental trauma. And that is simply not getting our needs met when we're young and developing into a human, learning about how the world works. We're literally absorbing and downloading like a blank computer program, downloading what the world is like from the energies that are around us from ages 0 to 7. So we are just learning, and referencing things outside of us. If we don't receive somebody meeting us emotionally, helping us co-regulate when our nervous systems are crying because of something that's wrong, we don't have the ability to self-regulate when we're young. We don't have that ability yet. We have to learn it. And if we don't get support in learning how to regulate through co-regulation with a parent or something, that leaves our system in that panic state. And then something will happen where a protective mechanism will be created to soothe ourselves. So one of our protective mechanisms we talked about earlier is our thinker, right? When we're constantly thinking, trying to solve problems and fix things and worry about things, it's a way to avoid the pain that's been stuck in our bodies, usually from when we were very, very young, and we just didn't get met in the way that we needed at a certain time. So in order to approach all of this stuff, I would suggest moving slowly and just starting to bring awareness into your body as often as you can. Noticing if your awareness is totally up here and swirling around in your thoughts all the time, just breathing, bringing your awareness down, feeling your heart, feeling your hands, feeling your hips, and just noticing, whoa, am I uncomfortable in there right now? Is that why my thoughts are going so strong? Okay, what if I could just let myself feel this, because through feeling the pain, it can release. So that's a simple way to start, and you never have to sit and do it for like 3 hours or anything like that. But just start with a couple minutes and see how that starts shifting things for you. Clearly, if you've been through more shock trauma or, deal with PTSD, things like that, you really probably want to work with a professional, because they can really help you through co-regulation. But to start, just noticing your body, and when you drop into your body and just feel what's there lovingly, right? Not trying to resist or change it anymore. A lot of the time, people share with me that that's the breath of fresh air they've been looking for, even though they're leaning into the pain. now, which is so interesting to me. It's always the resistance that creates most of the discomfort.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
I
I
know
feel
there was
like
a
it's
lot there.
no. It feels it starts with language as well. I recognize it within myself that since doing a lot of this work, I'm speaking differently about things. I am
Mm,
referring more to feeling. So
mm,
I'm like, so how are you doing? I'm like, well, I have to feel into it. Let me
mhm,
just
mhm.
like, how am I feeling? Like I'm always good, because I live in Germany and it's safe. So my needs are met on a like Maslow pyramidical sort of level. Like I have
Totally.
food, I have shelter and stuff. But then it's like, okay, so more in the subtle realms, subtle energies, as you put it. Let me feel into it. And I feel like also when I'm speaking about something, I'm just like, I feel like doing this right now. So it's coming from a place of feeling rather than I think I wanna do this.
Mhm.
So I feel like there's some change happening when I'm tuning in. And while you were just sharing, I was like reflecting on, okay, yes, 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 yes. It shows its effects in the day to day
Mm.
with language. So yeah, the four agreements are powerful. Be impeccable with your word. I think there's something to it.
I love
um, yeah. um, so I I I would love to talk to you about like your experience also with it. I don't know. I feel like this is like always the most powerful thing is like to share experiences that we have felt ourselves rather than objectively talk about something. So I would be curious, how would you describe like the first sort of touch point with that experience, applying those techniques in your life? How
Yeah.
did that feel and what did it lead to? Yeah.
So good. Uh, yeah. I was outside laying on the grass 2020 in this course for somatic healing. And I got into this course because first, I wanted to get into this realm of helping people. Second, I was struggling with body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and really poor body image. You can imagine, first of all, growing up in Hawaii, everybody's walking around in swimsuits all the time. That brought its own thing. And then doing wrestling and yo yo dieting for years. Like, I really was struggling believing that I could love my body and eat healthily and normally again and feel okay in those ways. So I had been healing through that. It's a huge reason I got into this work in the first place. But, you know, I think I was at that point maybe 8 years into trying to heal this and getting on top of things, but like nothing really actually sticking, not feeling like that click is happening. And when I learned about this concept of somatic healing and how it's been my trying to fix my pain and avoid my pain and try to think about everything that has been keeping me stuck, I was laying on a towel in my swimsuit, feeling very uncomfortable in my body, and I watched myself automatically go to start planning all the things I was gonna eat, all the workouts that I was gonna do. It was like this planned way of fixing how I felt. And with what I was learning, I was like able to see it now. Whoa, I'm no longer doing this automatically. I can see the pattern. And the thing that changed everything was choosing to do something differently in that moment of awareness. We can have awareness, but if we don't choose to do something differently, then we're never going to change. So in that moment, I realized that my skin literally felt like it was crawling. And I just wanted to get away from that feeling. But I was like, okay, this is where I apply. Okay, what if it's safe to feel this discomfort in my body? What if it's okay to just sit here with this feeling? What if it's just a sensation? It's just skin crawling. Okay, it's not bad anymore. And I just felt it and I breathed. And it was a huge breakthrough for me because I had never done that before. And I just kept doing that when I would notice these feelings, because it's like this anxiety of being in my body. I got in touch with unworthiness that was stuck in my body. All of these different feelings I started to find locked away in my body that had been driving my actions. And rather than continuing to act and escape the pain, I started just lovingly holding it and strengthening my muscle of being able to feel this kind of pain. Right? It's so interesting how we so easily will go to the gym because we've been taught that feeling that kind of pain is good. But we've not been taught that emotional pain is okay to feel too. We've been taught it's bad, you shouldn't feel that way, just get over it, ignore it. But that's been what's been keeping us stuck. So as I kept leaning in, it completely changed my life because I was not trying to escape any moment anymore. And the behaviors, whether it was endlessly scrolling on Instagram to escape myself, or binge eating, or trying to meet guys just so I could get some kind of affection, right? All of those behaviors transformed on their own when the way I felt changed through feeling and releasing those painful emotions from my body. A lot of people don't understand that they're always trying to fix the behaviors, but if your internal state is not addressed, the behaviors are just going to come back or switch to something new. So this is where I found an actual practice that stuck and consistently helped me feel better day in and day out.
Thank you. I got, talking about triggers and stuff, it's definitely triggering stuff in me, in my past, being on the receiving end, being just as a bystander of a loving relationship and not being able to do anything. So it's very it makes me very emotional, and I have so many questions that tie into what you just shared, and some of them I will ask, but I feel like it's a personal thing right now for me to can you, whatever comes through or you feel like sharing for women listening who are struggling with something like you just described, eating disorder and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe I can just open up a space. What do you feel like is important to say to women struggling with that?
Yeah, well, I just appreciate that we've gone here because sometimes I forget what led me here, and it makes me emotional too because I did not know if I would ever be able to feel normal again. I did not know if I would ever be able to trust myself with food. When it got the worst, I was making myself throw up for a few months, and I remember being like, I will die if I keep doing this, and I cannot keep doing this to myself. But it didn't mean that, that was enough. I had to really dive in. And so if you are experiencing something like this, struggling with food, your body, your habits, there is a way to get better, and it doesn't have to take as long as it took me. Yes, I did work previous to the somatic work that really helped me be ready to receive it in the way that I did. But I'm curious what would have happened if I found it, years before that. So bringing in all aspects of healing, where you address all parts of you, mind, body, and soul, is imperative to break through habits like this. Addiction, another one. It's very similar. Wounding, just different manifestation of that wound in our lives. So addressing mind, body, soul, this is what we do in the RISE program, which is my mentorship program for women. We do address the mindset because your brain will start grooving grooves that make it very hard to get out of. Oh, I'm ugly. Oh, I will never have control. Da 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 da. That's something we do have to address. But if you're only trying to address your thoughts and you're not addressing the feelings in your body, you're going to be running in circles. So addressing the mind, addressing the body through learning how to feel through and release all of the pain that we've taken on through our lives. And then also learning how to repair your connection with yourself so that you can be your own source of love, fulfillment, joy, connection first, will help you feel like that whole human that you're meant to feel, who doesn't need to use things as vices, right? Whether it's food, drugs, alcohol, social media. These are all vices to help us get something that we don't feel like we have yet. And the reason we don't feel like we have it yet is because when we went through our developmental stages, we didn't receive enough love, attention, support to integrate that into our systems and have it as our own. So there is a way to re-teach your system that same energy. It's just about learning how to lean into it, to find it, to open yourself up to it again. That's why another reason I'm here right now doing what I'm doing is because once I started reaching out for support, I did not stop. I got over the hump of that being scary. And I've done 10-month program, a 2-year program, worked one-on-one with a somatic healing mentor, done so many things at this point because I just know the ROI now. So you don't have to do this alone. And if you're not feeling like you're getting further along as fast as you want to, let's say in therapy, that's at least what happened for me. I know there is amazing therapists. I know I have so many clients that love their therapist, but sometimes there's still a couple missing pieces that could really accelerate your journey. So just continuing to follow the things that excite you, that make you feel like something else is possible for you. Keep following that because it is. If I did it, you can do it too. And I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Have you felt unconditional love before?
I have felt what my current human perceives as unconditional love. I'm still just a human, and I don't know if we can truly experience what I would call God's unconditional love or the universe's unconditional love, right? There's this, we're always holding projections and pain, right? As we're moving through life, we've taken on a lot of stuff. I'm nowhere near clear of my stuff. I've done a lot, but there's still things that are blocking me from truly being able to feel and embody what I believe is possible. And I have found day by day, moment by moment, a deeper sense of true compassion and unconditional love for myself in a way that surpasses what I could even receive from other humans. Like, because it comes from me, and that will never go away, I can never lose that, it brings another level of like, whoa, I've got everything I need. And from that place, I get to receive even more of that love from other people. Because I don't believe that love can really land in our systems if we don't have access to it within. Right? How many people have been in relationships and no matter how much their partner says that they love them, they don't really feel it landing. So it's gotta be this co-nourishing space where we are doing our own work first. And then we get to receive from others, which then gives us more access within ourselves, and then it just becomes infinite. And I am definitely along for that ride.
Yeah. Can you yeah, it's in your body language, it's in your like your whole aura is opening up when you speak about that. Like, can you describe for us how that feels? Like, how does it feel to experience that love?
Well, if you want to get a little, I don't know if you'd call it woo-woo with me, but the way that it
I'm so
feels,
in for that. I'm so in for it. You cannot even imagine.
I'm very woo-woo at heart, so I don't share as much of that on Instagram anymore, but it's who I am. So to me, as I've been on this journey, it literally feels like if I dive into my heart, like if I go to the depth of my heart, not my physical heart, but my emotional heart in the center of my chest, if I dive with my awareness as deep as I possibly can go in there, I feel like I find the entire universe. It's like my body is not as solid as I thought it was. And it's this portal to my infinite self that is so vast, so expansive, so limitless and powerful. And all the energy I need is available to me. And it's almost like those, I don't know what they're called, but those things that go up and around and then back in, those kind of like things like that, where the in is the out and the out is the in and all of that, whatever that's called. That's how it feels like to me, being in this body, being in this universe that feels like this ocean of particles that your particles are over there in your body, my particles are over here, but we are the same particles, just interacting and playing together in this beautiful ocean. And we get to reflect to each other this infinite love and power that we are while feeling one and the same. Like we are not separate. We are made of the same energy. And that's really what has completely transformed the way I handle triggers too. Because even if somebody else is doing something that has hurt me, I not only acknowledge my hurt, but I can acknowledge their hurt as if it's my own. And I can feel them and feel their experience and get out of my own head and into this more vast awareness, ocean, energy, whatever you want to call it. And I can sense that their experience is just as valid as mine. And if I was them, how would I want to be related to? And that's been one of the most powerful things that I know is harder than, done than said. But sometimes it also just takes intention of like, we're all just doing what we're doing because of what we've gone through in our life, and nobody's doing anything intentionally to hurt anybody, because I believe that we're all inherently good. And the more we can work together through our triggers, the more we get to come back into that juicy loving connection. And why would we not do that when we have a limited amount of time on this earth to experience it? So that's my 2 cents on that.
I love it. Now, I guess opening up the portal to, it's funny, I was asked about whether or not I think about the audience when doing the podcast. And I'm just like, how would I be able to be 110% present with who I'm speaking with while simultaneously have some back show running in my mind about the expectations of other people that I don't even know? So I'm like, I guess the answer is no. Yet I'm assuming, and it's a hypothesis, that people want us to talk about relationships. That's just an assumption. But having said what you just said and what we've talked about, I just would like to open up the portal to, I guess, a relationship between spirituality and the deeper insights and how you see life. Like, this is like, what you've just shared, those are experiences that you, at least for me, I cannot separate them from my intimate life, for example. Like, this is how it's making up a part of me, and I bring this into my relationships because it's the way I see the world, and I experience the world like that. And sort of a relationship that I'm living is an extension of that, is an expression of that, is something that I can co-create in to even deepen that understanding. Right, so enough from me, though. I would so much like to hear your experience with that, like spirituality and love and the insights about oneself. How does that affect a relationship? Let's talk about that.
To me, spirituality is in everything. And the way I view the world is we are all children of the universe. Everything that has become is birthed from this universe. And it is this beautiful way that the universe is getting to experience itself. So I am just one tiny lens of reality with all of my projections and my upbringing and, all the things that I've experienced have caused me to view reality in a certain way. My partner, Justin, different lens of reality, different lens of the universe, but we still are the same. So for me, our relationships, whatever kind of relationships we're in, are an avenue to help us expand our little lens to include more of what's truly happening. Because usually what we think is happening is only one tiny little fraction, and we can feel so much grander and feel so much more connected to this universal energy, to this life force that is flowing through us by opening our lens, by allowing multiple perspectives to be true all at once. And what a better way to do that than be next to somebody all the time and interact with them and hear about their perspectives, notice how things affect them, get on the same page with things that we disagree on, but still being able to be connected and loving through that. Meet in the middle sometimes. It's a really beautiful opportunity once again to bring it back to what I first shared about, which is letting go of who I thought I was. I'm learning more about who I really am through being in relationship, releasing what I was conditioned into, and finding what feels even better for me day by day. So that's one little piece of what I could say it applies to in relationships, but I think one of the biggest ones is really learning how to get my awareness over there and really try to experience the world through that lens, because man, when you can do that, it literally starts to feel like you are so much bigger because you're including so much more of what's around you.
Yeah. I met Michael Singer in October. You know
Whoa.
Michael Singer? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I met him and he took me on a walk and we spent like some time with each other, and he's amazing. Even more
No.
amazing in person than he is through his books. And
Wow.
and he said that to me. He grabbed me by the arm, like we were going on a walk, and then he was sharing, I was sharing, but then he stopped me to really make something clear. So he was like, yeah, and then so he stopped me, and then he's like, okay, so would you now look around? So this is already seems big, right? And we were standing on a field and grass and big trees and stuff, so you could see, I don't know, far as the eye can see. And then he's like, and you see that little bug down there? So there was like a tiny bug on the floor, and he's like,
Uh-huh.
you know what 99% of the people do? They focus on that bug. You know,
Uh-huh.
they put their awareness on one tiny thing of the universe, which is you in that case, and your thoughts most of the time. And that's where you look. And you know, and then he's like, so look up. It's pretty small compared to this. Now expand even more and imagine how big, how wonderful that feels.
Wow.
And so he made that pretty like clear to me, and he emphasized that multiple times in the conversation. And 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 so it just reminded me very intuitively just right now to when you said, you know, how big is that feeling once you
Yeah.
get out of that little box here.
Yeah.
And yeah, even having met him and having spent time with him and stuff like that, yeah, I also know that it's so much easier said than done. Like
Oh, yeah.
I go back to it all the time, but yeah,
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, um, yeah. I can just yeah. You've read his books and you like him.
Surrender Experiment has been one of my favorite books for a long time. And Untethered Soul was a breakthrough book for me 5 years ago. So I really love him. My partner and I were just re listening to Surrender Experiment like 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, well, go visit him. He's in Florida. He's at the Temple of the Universe, and it's open. You can just go. You can just roll up,
That's
and he's
awesome.
there every single day, in the mornings and in the evenings. And he's the most devoted of all of them. All of the people who are there, he's the one who obviously opened it, but he is as much of a student as we are all. And that
Mm.
is just a testament to the journey. And if you see that, like, it just did something profound for me once I saw him, like, in
Yeah.
that. So, and I saw his curiosity and I saw his devotion. He, yeah, he'll go up to his altar and he will literally greet like the masters, and he will be, he's crying, he's laughing, he's like,
No.
and it's just him. You know, it's not just like Maxi is now here and watching him. Like he's doing that for
Yeah.
50 years already. And
Wow.
so, and then there's like this picture in the entrance. It's like a picture of the Milky Way. And in the middle Yeah, and with all the planets and stuff, and he's like, every time he's entering the temple, he'll stand in front of that picture and he'll just look at that picture for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I asked him about it, and he's just like, yeah, like, what do you think? Like, I have to remind myself of what's going on every day. I'm just spinning on this thing, and I think I'm
Yeah.
important, so.
I think the world's gonna end and it's all about me. Yep. So good. That's amazing. Yeah, I'll for sure need to make it down there sometime.
Yeah, yeah. So they're all very open and super friendly, and you can do yoga there. You can talk to like Q&A and do the kirtans and sing, and it's wonderful. It's truly a wonderful
So
place.
great.
Yeah.
So great that you went there.
And then there's the Ichitagni Falls. Or Ichitagni, is it called like that? Yeah, Ichitagni. Yeah, the springs where you can just like float around, and I mean, it's his soul chose to incarnate there for a reason because it's very beautiful there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful
Yeah.
energy.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Um, I feel like I can, I could spend so much more time with you, like, and ask you so many more questions. But yeah, I'm respectful of time, and I know how this matrix works. We all function within space and time to some degree.
Mhm.
But I want to ask you what you're proud of.
I am proud of myself for a lot of things. One is not giving up on this business. It wasn't really ever an option, but man, there were what feels like blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into it over the past 3.5 years. And working through all of my stuff, worthiness, money stuff, like self-confidence, perfectionism. Oh my God, it's a journey to start your own business, and I'm just really grateful for all of my teachers and my dedication to this mission. My mission is to help free the world of suffering, emotional suffering, and disconnection so that we can all receive the love that's always available to us. And that's been my guiding force through the hardship, and it will continue to be. And I'm just proud of the little girl within me who was like, this is possible. Your dreams are possible, and it really can get this good. And for never giving up on that.
I'm so grateful to have reached out to you. And it just shows that I can rely on my feeling, because there's so much more than, you talking about relationships and triggers and communication, which is so important and wonderful, and clearly it resonates with so many people. But I'm grateful for this conversation that explored a little bit more than that, and that you let us in on you. So I appreciate the trust that is involved in you doing that. I do really appreciate that.
I appreciate being able to share more of who I am.
Beautiful. Hey, beautiful listener, you have made it all the way through. And I want to take a moment to say thank you. And you can do me an enormous favor. It's all I'm going to ever ask from you. And that is to go to your podcast app right now. And if you enjoyed the episode, give the podcast a 5-star rating. If you want to write 1-2 words or sentences, even more powerful, even better, thank you already in advance. And also, while you're at it, just click on that follow button, on that bell notification, so that you never miss a new episode. All of that just contributes, and it helps me to increase the reach of the podcast. That means I can attract bigger guests, and that means I can deliver more powerful episodes. So it's a tiny thing. I'm only gonna ask this little favor of you ever, not more. 10-15 seconds of your time, a couple of clicks, that's it. makes a huge difference for me as a creator. So thank you so much.